Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Let's get started with a very cool rundown for you. But first, this one is dedicated to Salvation 73 as our brand new sponsor. Thank you so much for your support. Here's your rundown. It looks like another big E3 game has been leaked ahead of time. Capcom has registered a domain name for Devil May Cry 5, indicating that the new game might be getting announced at E3 next week. Rumors about Devil May Cry 5 have been circling for years, and series director Hideaki Itsuno has even hinted earlier this year that a new one is on the way. Judging by the title, Devil May Cry 5 sounds like it will be a new installment in the original series with the original version of Dante and not a follow-up to the 2013 reboot. Yeah, it looks like Devil May Cry 5 is a done deal, and I hope that people have been paying attention to some of the maturity that has been also circling the video game industry with games like God of War. I understand that people were put off by the new look Dante from the Ninja Theory game. I totally get that. It's going to be great to kind of revisit the Dante from the previous Devil May Cry series, but times have also changed, and if it's an exact kind of remake of the attitudes and the philosophies and the kind of storytelling that they had in those original games, it might feel a little sort of disconnected from 2018, but I am excited. Capcom has made lots of great Devil May Cry titles over the course of the franchise's history. Dante is an incredible character, no matter how you kind of place him on the screen, and as long as the right team has been put in place at Capcom, and we have something that's very fun to play and also delivers a nice kick in the pants kind of story. I can't wait to see how this one comes together at E3 next week. A sequel to the 2014 game, Lords of the Fallen, is finally moving forward with a new developer. Publisher CI Games is partnering with a new company called Defiant Studios to create the sequel to their action RPG. Defiant Studios was founded in 2016 by former members of the Just Cause development team, so this will be their biggest project so far. The first Lords of the Fallen was developed by another studio, Deck 13 Interactive, and was basically a less difficult version of Dark Souls. The sequel was first announced shortly after that game came out, but this is the first big news we've heard about it, and no word yet on when it might arrive. Lords of the Fallen, I remember playing that game and thinking it was pretty cool, some good acting in the characters and some pretty decent character development. It has been a while since we've looked at that title. I think one of the things about the original Lords of the Fallen is that it was way bigger than the hype around it suggested it to be, but now clearly we have new people building this thing. It must have sold quite well. The word of mouth must have been pretty big for it, but it didn't have tons of advertising and tons of hype, and still it manages to get a sequel, so hopefully this one's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to find out soon. Things are going even worse than expected for the new Star Wars movie. Solo, A Star Wars Story, has had a very bad second weekend, earning just $29 million domestically, which is a steep 65% drop from its opening weekend. This is much worse than most big movies and is the worst ever for a Star Wars film. Internationally, Solo did even worse, dropping to second place behind Deadpool 2, which came out a week earlier. All of this shows that Solo is going to have a very short run in theaters and isn't going to find new life anytime soon. Yeah, this doesn't bode well for the Star Wars standalone movies. In fact, I think that there's probably going to be a lot of second guessing about an idea of a Boba Fett film or an Obi-Wan film. They have got to turn things around, I think, in the court of public opinion with Episode 9, and I think that even adds more pressure to J.J. Abrams' shoulders. I think Solo is actually a pretty fun movie, and I think it was a nice surprise that it turned out as good as it did, considering all of the behind-the-scenes sort of struggles and stuff. And I feel bad that it's not doing better than this, because I think it's actually pretty fun, and it kind of creates an open opportunity for Disney to go in different directions. I like the actors, but I don't think we're going to be seeing these actors in these roles in like sequels or even standalone spin-offs or whatever, unless this thing does incredibly well in home video, which, when I did the review, I kind of suggested that Solo looked a little bit like a television show, and definitely when you compare it to the epic scale of The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, even Rogue One, Solo felt a little smaller, and it's not a bad idea, but it just felt like it was rushed. All of it was just rushed. They had to make that date, and it's unfortunate. It would be a cool TV show, but I think Disney's going to have some really big decisions on their hands here. Now, 20th Century Fox isn't slowing down the pace with their X-Men adaptations. Fox-owned cable network FX has renewed their X-Men TV series Legion for a third season. It's slated to begin airing in 2019, and the announcement comes a week before the end of the current second season, so fans will be happy to know that the show will be back. Legion is based on the X-Men franchise, but puts a much more cerebral spin on the material, and FX is able to make it because Fox owns the exclusive film and television rights to the franchise. That could be about to change. Disney is in the process of acquiring Fox, and if they do, they plan to absorb the X-Men franchise into their shared Marvel Cinematic Universe, which could put the future of shows like Legion in doubt. Now, I've seen a few episodes of Legion, and I loved it. It's a really quirky, cool take. That's a show that I definitely want to get caught up on. Very cerebral, very mature, lots of kind of trippy kind of sequences in there, and it's beautifully filmed. It just looks really incredible. You know, talking about Solo as a TV show, here's another TV show in a long line of them that proves that you can get very filmic and very, beautiful with your imagery on television. Psyched that Legion is coming back. Definitely going to get caught up on the show, and when I do, I'm going to have a review for you guys. The asymmetrical multiplayer game Evolve has just got another nail in its coffin. Publisher 2K has announced that they're shutting down the game's dedicated servers. You'll still be able to play it, but many of its biggest features, like the in-game store, will no longer be available. This isn't the first setback for the game. Evolve launched in 2014 and was initially a big hit, but its player base quickly dropped off, forcing 2K and developer Turtle Rock Studios to make it free to play in order to stay alive. It's unclear how long the game will stay afloat now that the dedicated servers are about to be unplugged. And this is a tragic tale. You know, the Turtle Rock team worked really hard to make something very cool with Evolve, and it just didn't hold the public's fancy for that long. And it started off being multiplayer and expensive, and multiplayer only and expensive, and there just wasn't enough content at launch, and it just left a bad taste in people's mouth. It didn't run as well as was suggested. It wasn't as fun as Left 4 Dead, and even though people really struggled to make something unique and cool there, you can see how quickly the public will move off of a game once they get bored with it. And I think there's a lesson in that for everybody that's working on multiplayer-focused titles out there. The public will move off very quickly and change the fortunes of a studio and a company very quickly as well. Bad news for Evolve fans, because I know that lots and lots of work post-launch went into that title to make it better. But yeah, I guess it's time to move on. The public has spoken. That wraps us up for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow with EP Live, so please come back for that. In the meantime, we've got lots of content for you to check out, so please do. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, that little bell, and if you're so inclined, that sponsorship button too.